Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. And guys, it is a great day. It is a beautiful day, in fact, because I have the new 4K of Demolition Man to talk about today from Arrow Video. That is who did Demolition Man on 4K, guys. I am so excited to talk about this one and get into it, but I was so excited when this was announced. I have been waiting for Demolition Man to get upgraded to 4K for what feels like forever. I have had this movie on VHS. I've watched this movie so many times on cable, on TV, with commercials. I watched it on Blu-ray, DVD. I've had this in my collection so many times. This is just one of those movies that is an all-time favorite of mine. So I am just very excited to get into this, to unbox it with you guys, because I was so impressed with the packaging on this one. So we're going to get into the unboxing. We're going to cover the special features. I watched all of the special features, and we're also going to talk about the transfer as well. Now, this is due out on December the 17th. I think it was pushed a week, actually. I think the original date was December the 10th, but when I just looked, it got pushed a full week. So I do have this one in early, but I will say that right now, this is going for $33.99. So this is like $1 or $2 cheaper than the usual Arrow Video big chunky box edition. There's also a Blu-ray version if you're not if you're not super into the 4K format, you just want a nice Blu-ray with a 4K scan. There is a Blu-ray option available if you still want to get that big box set edition, just a little bit cheaper. It is, I think, $31.99 to get that. So yeah, before we get into all this stuff though, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Leave me a comment. What are your thoughts on Demolition Man? Let me know that in the comment section below. And let's just go ahead and let's just blow the doors off this thing. Let's just blow the lid off, the roof off. That's what I'm trying to say. Demolition Man is from 1993. Okay, I was 8 years old when this movie came out. It was like the perfect age. It was the perfect age. I just loved all these movies, guys. These are the movies that I watched when I was a kid. Demolition Man, Broken Arrow, Twister, all the disaster movies. I love these movies. Total Recall. These movies, I just ate them up when I was a kid. I love this stuff. Demolition Man came around at the perfect age. And what's interesting about this film is it kind of feels like when you're watching it, it's an action adventure, kind of kids movie. I'm watching the movie, it's very rated R. The language, the action, the violence in the movie, it's very rated R, but the tone of the film is that of a PG or a PG-13 kids adventure film. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but I certainly do when I watch it. But it's very mature. It's got cussing and everything else. So I just remember thinking to myself when I was watching this as a kid, oh, this is so cool. I'm so cool because I get to watch Demolition Man. It just felt like a mature movie, but also I could enjoy it and get everything from a kid perspective, on a kid level, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I don't know if anybody else feels that way about Demolition Man, but I certainly do. This was a movie that, Sylvester Stallone obviously had tremendous success with Rocky and Rambo through the 70s and the 80s, but his star kind of dipped a little bit in the 90s. He did a movie called Oscar. He did a notoriously failed comedy with Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, I think in 1992. So that came out the year before Demolition Man came out. And Demolition Man really kind of brought him back. And Cliffhanger, because Cliffhanger actually came out the same year as Demolition Man. So these movies kind of brought Stallone back. And then he would do Judge Dredd and Daylight, which I love Daylight. I would love a big box set edition of that, but we are getting that from Kino Lorber next year, so I'm very excited to get Daylight on 4K. But Demolition Man, Sylvester Stallone kind of rising from the ashes, if you will, with this movie. And I actually think that Stallone, just watch this movie for proof. He's actually pretty good at comedy. He gets a bad rap as not being as good as Arnold, handling the more comedic moments. But I think he actually does a really good job in this movie. And I think in some of the Rocky movies, he does a good job as well with those more comedic moments. But this movie, I think he handles the comedy, really well. And I love him and Sandra Bullock together. I think they have great chemistry in the movie. I think she's very funny as well. And Sandra Bullock, between this and Speed, to me, Sandra Bullock was an action hero, like, of my childhood. Like, she was up there with Sarah Connor, Linda Hamilton, Sigourney Weaver. Like, I saw Sandra Bullock as an action star when I was a kid. And Wesley Snipes is just the perfect villain, the perfect foil to Sylvester Stallone's John Spartan in this movie as the character of Simon Phoenix. I think he's so freaking awesome in this movie. Nobody else could play this character quite like Wesley Snipes could, with his one-liners and just his, like, insanely maniacal, psychotic, over-the-top performance. It's so good. Like, he's spectacular. But I remember as a kid, like, actually thinking Simon Phoenix was pretty threatening and actually kind of scary in some of the moments. I remember the eyeball sequence, like, that actually got me a little bit, actually freaked me out. So basically with this movie, guys, it's set in the future in kind of a utopian society that's completely different than our own. I can't believe we're like, what are we, like 8 years away from the actual date of Demolition Man? I think it's set in 2032. But it starts off in the 90s. You got John Spartan, who's a 90s LA cop, and then you got Wesley Snipes, who's kind of a terrorist type character. And John Spartan catches Wesley Snipes, but something goes wrong, and then they both get sentenced to get frozen in a block of ice, essentially. And then they're thawed out in 2032 to do battle again in this utopian society where guns are outlawed, people can't cuss without getting a ticket. It's funny, like, it lends itself to some very, like, humorous moments with both Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes, and it's really kind of like a fish out of water type scenario. Sylvester Stallone's from the 90s, now he's in the future, and cars drive themselves and that kind of thing, so he has to, like, get used to society, and he can't quite adapt to it, and Sandra Bullock kind of has to help him along the way. Simon Phoenix, Wesley Snipes, has no interest in adapting to anything. He's just there to create chaos, but it's just such a fun premise. It's a fun premise. It's a chaotic movie with some great action, and it's funny. It operates as a comedy. It operates as an action film. It operates as a sci-fi film. It's just a bunch of different things in one, and I've just always loved this film since I was a kid. And even now, even though I recognize some of the more, like, goofier elements of the film, it's still great to me. I still think it's one of the all-time great action films. But let's get into what you guys are actually here for. How does this look on 4K, and how does it compare to the Blu-ray? So guys, this is a long-awaited upgrade here. Like, this Blu-ray, it looks okay. It looks okay, but my God, did it need that upgrade. And did Arrow Video just totally and completely deliver here. Now, this has HDR, it's got Dolby Vision, it's a native 4K upgrade as well from the original camera negative, and it looks absolutely gorgeous, stunning, fantastic, guys. One of the best 4Ks of the year. It reminded me a lot of RoboCop. I think aesthetically, like, this movie just has the same kind of look and feel as RoboCop. And it is 6 years later, so it's kind of in the same time period. RoboCop late 80s, Demolition Man early 90s. But I don't know, just something about it, kind of that alternates, futuristic, reality. I know RoboCop's not technically set in the future, but it kind of feels futuristic in nature, and it just has, like, the same kind of aesthetic appeal to it, like the police stations and stuff like that. But this movie just looked so damn good, jaw-droppingly gorgeous in 4K. The colors were incredible. Those outdoor sequences, it's really nice outside. Like, it's a nice clean city now because, like I said, it's like a utopia, but the green grass and the flowers and all that stuff, it's a pretty city, and it looks absolutely fantastic, gorgeous in 4K. You got Wesley Snipes wearing this orange shirt outside that just looks absolutely stunning with that HDR, but some of the up-close images of the faces, like, I just couldn't get over, like, how good this looked. And obviously, if you've seen a movie, like, so many times one way, like, I've watched this movie so many times on VHS and DVD and cable, like I said, you just seen it so many times, like, you are seeing things that you've never saw before, and that's always super cool. To watch a movie from, like, a totally different angle and perspective and be like, oh my, I never really noticed. I never noticed that it looked like that in the background before because I can never see the damn background before. Like, this 4K just brings out everything. The actual, like, police station, like, when they're all standing around, like, the background, like, you can just notice little details in the background on the wall and the desks and everything. It just looked fantastic, guys. Absolutely 100% fantastic, amazing. Arrow Video couldn't have done a better job with this. I honestly like didn't notice a weak spot in it. Like maybe when you get towards the end, some of those like special effects that they have with some of the electricity and stuff in the end fight sequence, not to spoil anything, guys, like that didn't look fantastic, but also it's the effects, and that stuff doesn't age as well in general. But other than that, it was just perfect pretty much from beginning to end. One of the best 4Ks. Like this is going to be a really hard year to like decide what my favorite 4K is, because there's been so many bangers. But Demolition Man, guys, like this to me is just one of the standouts. Like Arrow Video doing Demolition Man on 4K, like you couldn't ask for anything more. Just a perfect amount of grain, a perfect grain structure. It still feels like a film of the 90s. But there's just such great clarity, guys. I can't like overemphasize like how great the clarity is. And it really made me appreciate like the set design of the movie as well. Like, because there was so much that went into like designing the way that the city looks, designing the way the police station looks, some of the restaurants. There was so much that went into all that. And now we get to finally like appreciate it like it should have been appreciated when it was released back in the day, because we couldn't see none of the shit back in the day. So now we can see it with this 4K, and it just looks incredible. One of my favorite 4Ks of the year, hands down. It looked amazing. As for the audio, guys, you have the Dolby Atmos, you got the Dolby True HD 7.1, you got the HD Master Audio 5.1. So many incredible audio options. They upgraded it to Atmos. It's like you can't really ask for more with this. Now, I'm just listening to this on a soundbar that has a subwoofer that kind of simulates that 5.1 and that 7.1. From my perspective, sounded great. Like the big moments, the big action set piece moments, absolutely delivered. The sound's amazing. The score's amazing. I loved everything about the sound. No complaints. I think people that have that full Atmos setup are going to really appreciate that upgrade for sure. Now, getting into the packaging, guys, look at this. Look at that. The original, they were very smart to put the original poster as the slipcover of this release right here. Very smart. We'll get into the undercover artwork here in a second, but yeah, very smart to do this. You know, Arrow Video realized just how iconic that original poster right there is, with Wesley Snipes and Sly facing off right there. But you go up right there, you got the cast, you got all the specs and all that stuff at the bottom, the special features. If you guys want to check that out, we'll talk about those here in a second. And then you take it out of the slipcover, and you got the hard box underneath with the newly commissioned artwork, which I like it. I think it's cool. It's got a nice aesthetic to it. You got the badge on the back, SAPD, Be Well, very cool. You got the side right there, the spine. Then you take it out of that hard box. You got a nice 4K case with the poster on it. I imagine it's got reversible cover art as well. All the same stuff on the back. You open it up. Well, let's do the reversible real quick, guys. The reversible is the newly commissioned artwork. But you open it up, you got the 4K disc right there. No Blu-ray in this, guys. You know how Arrow Video does now. They just do the 4K, but it's fine. All the features are on the 4K. Actually, guys, like, I like having the Blu-ray. I really do. I'm going to keep this Blu-ray for sure. And it would have been nice if Arrow Video included the Blu-ray. But I kind of like just putting the 4K in and all the features are on there as well. And I don't have to change discs, because it feels like if a boutique label or a studio has the Blu-ray, the tendency is to put all the features on that Blu-ray, and then I got to switch my disc. I kind of like the fact that I just put this in, and when I'm done watching, I just get to go right to the special features. I don't have to get up and change the disc around. But you got the art cards on the inside. It was funny how they talked about the special features, how it was kind of uncomfortable when Stallone just got butt naked in that scene right there. Just kind of funny. Sandra Bullock. Very young in this movie. Young, adorable Sandra Bullock. All right. So that's the art cards. I know y'all like your art cards. We also got a nice poster on the inside as well, which is very cool. You got the original poster, and then you got the newly commissioned artwork as well. And you got a nice little booklet. Of course, you had to have a nice booklet, guys. It's got the violation tickets on it as well, which is pretty funny. Like, that's one of the funniest, like, running jokes throughout the entire movie. John Spartan, you have been fined. Then you got some nice writings on the inside of this as well. Flip through. I'm sure they've got information on the transfer if you guys want the specific details. I'll give it to you right now. Demolition Man has been exclusively restored by Arrow Films. Both the domestic and international versions of the film are presented in its original aspect ratio of 2:39:1 with stereo, 5.1, and Dolby Atmos audio. The original 35mm camera negative was scanned in 4K, 16-bit at Warner Brothers Motion Picture Imaging. Additional film material was scanned for the sections unique to the international version. The film was restored in 4K and color graded at Silver Salt. So there you have it, guys. That's the specifics in case you guys were wondering about that. But in addition to all that, we got some stickers. We got the Life is Hell from the underground people in the film, led by Dennis Leary. And then, of course, guys, we got the 3 seashells. Stickers of the 3 seashells. And if you guys don't know about the 3 seashells, then that means you have to watch Demolition Man. That's what that means. But great packaging, guys. Top tier packaging. Now, getting into the special features, the big thing that people were talking about with this release is the fact that it included the international cut via seamless branching. So it's on the same disc. You just have to pick whether or not you want the international or whether or not you want the US cut. The only difference here, guys, is that they were not allowed to use Taco Bell in Canada, so they had to use Pizza Hut instead of Taco Bell. Or it was something like that. I can't exactly remember the reasoning. But the Canadian cut, they use Pizza Hut instead of Taco Bell. That's the restaurant that won the franchise wars. So in the international cut, you just have the dubbing in of Pizza Hut every time they say Taco Bell. Then when they pull up to the restaurant, they have Pizza Hut on the side of the building instead of Taco Bell. So, and even on the little van, the food van they have outside, they'll have Pizza Hut slapped on there. So it's not really a huge deal. It's kind of interesting to watch, even though I think you could watch it on YouTube at one point. But it was cool to have it and have that option to switch between the two. It's not a drastic difference, though, between the cuts. It doesn't change any of the story. It's literally just they don't talk about Taco Bell. They talk about Pizza Hut in the international cut. Now, getting into the special features, guys, you got a lot of great new features here. You got a brand new audio commentary by the director and screenwriter. You got a brand new audio commentary by film historian Mike White. You got the archival audio commentary as well between Marco Brambilla and producer Joel Silver. And then you got a new interview with production designer. You got a new interview with a stunt coordinator. You got a new interview with special makeup effects artists. You got a new interview with body effects set coordinator. And then you got Somewhere Over the Rainbow, a new visual essay by film scholar Josh Nelson, which is actually a pretty good film essay of Demolition Man. I think it's about 20 minutes long. So you got 5 new special features, 4 interviews, the 1 visual essay, 2 new audio commentaries. You got a lot of the past special features as well that were included on past releases in here. So overall, guys, look, it would have been nice to have, look, I'll say this, like you've got interviews with some really interesting people involved in the film, but wouldn't it have been awesome to like have some kind of documentary if it was like 30, 35 minutes with Sandra Bullock, Wesley Snipes, Sylvester Stallone. Like the names in this movie are just too huge. They're just too huge. Like they could not have gotten any of those people to do interviews for this movie. So that's unfortunate, but the interviews you get are very good ones. Look, guys, I love this release. I love that. I'm biased because I love this movie so much. But it really does look so freaking good in 4K. If you love this movie like I do, like you're going to be super happy with it as well. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to get everything back in here, but you're going to be happy with Demolition Man as well. If you love it as much as I do, this is going to be one of your favorite releases of the year. I promise. Now, I've got the 4K link down below. I've got the Blu-ray link down below. Like I said, it comes out on December the 17th, and I'm just so happy. I'm so happy I finally have the definitive version of one of my favorite movies of all time. So thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on those bell notifications for all future videos and reviews, and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are down below in the description, and we'll see you next time.